At some point today, someone opened their fridge, stared inside, and still felt unsure what to eat. Not because there was nothing there, but because modern life has quietly disconnected us from a very basic question. Where does food actually come from? And no, this isn't about nostalgia. It's not about rejecting supermarkets or pretending we should all live off the land. It's about something deeper happening in your brain. Because long before menus, labels, and expiration dates, finding food wasn't a preference. It was a skill, and your nervous system still remembers that. Even if you've never foraged a single day in your life, here's what no one really tells you. Your brain doesn't just want calories. It wants competence. In the wild, hunger wasn't abstract. You didn't debate macros. You didn't scroll recipes. You felt your energy drop, your focus narrow, your senses sharpen. And then you had to act. Find food or stay weak. Choose right or get sick. There was no room for guessing. And that clarity? That's something modern life quietly took away. Today, food is everywhere, but understanding is not. Which is why learning how to find edible plants in the wild isn't about survival fantasies. It's about restoring a lost relationship between your body, your environment, and your instincts. Let's talk about hunger for a second. Hunger isn't just an empty stomach. It's a full body signal. Your patience drops. Your mood shifts. Your thinking becomes short-term. This isn't failure. It's biology. For most of human history, hunger meant pay attention. Scan your surroundings. Notice patterns. Remember what worked last time. And here's the key thing most people miss. Humans didn't survive by eating everything. We survived by learning what not to eat. That's why foraging is not about desperation. It's about discernment. In the wild, food leaves clues, just like water does. And once you learn to see them, you can't unsee them. Let's start with the biggest myth. People imagine foraging as risky, random, dangerous. But historically, poisoning yourself was rare because humans didn't experiment recklessly. Knowledge was passed down. Plants were categorized. Patterns were memorized. Your brain is exceptionally good at pattern recognition. You just haven't been using it this way. First rule, plants that thrive where humans thrive are often useful to humans. Look around natural paths, forest edges, riverbanks, and open clearings. These transitional zones, called ecotones, are where edible plants cluster. Nature stacks resources efficiently. Now look at leaves. Plants that are edible often have simple shapes. Nothing spiky. Nothing aggressively glossy. Nothing screaming, "Don't touch me." This isn't a guarantee, but it's information. Your ancestors didn't memorize Latin names. They learned visual language. Then there's abundance. One of nature's safety signals is repetition. If a plant grows alone, be cautious. If it grows in clusters, spreads easily, and returns year after year, it's often part of the local food web. Nature doesn't hide staples. Now let's talk about taste, because this matters. In survival foraging, tasting was gradual. You don't eat first and hope later. A small nibble. Wait, observe your body. Bitter doesn't automatically mean dangerous. Many nutritious plants are bitter, but intense, burning, or numbing sensations are warnings. Your tongue is a sensor, not an enemy. And yes, there are universal red flags. Avoid plants with milky white sap, strong almond-like smells, brightly colored berries without knowing the species, umbrella-shaped flowers unless properly identified. This isn't fear. It's respect. Now here's where psychology comes in. Modern humans often distrust themselves around food. We rely on packaging, labels, certifications. And those are useful, but they outsource confidence. In the wild, confidence comes from participation. You identify a plant. You decide. You eat. Immediate feedback. And that feedback does something powerful to your nervous system. It creates perceived control. Psychologists know this well. When people feel their actions directly influence outcomes, anxiety decreases. Resilience increases. Foraging isn't calming because it's slow. It's calming because it makes sense. You're not guessing. You're reading information. Let's talk about common beginner-safe plants. Dandelion. Yes, the one people spray chemicals to kill. Every part is edible. Leaves. roots, flowers. It grows everywhere humans disturb land because it evolved alongside us. Plantain, not the banana, the leaf. You've stepped on it 1,000 times. It heals bites. It's edible. It thrives near trails. Chickweed, tender, mild, nutritious. These plants aren't rare. They're ignored. Because modern life teaches us that food comes from stores, not landscapes. And here's the quiet truth. When you stop seeing nature as background decoration and start seeing it as information, something shifts. You walk slower. You notice more. Your thoughts quiet down. Not because life is easier, but because it's clearer. Now, an important reality check. Foraging is not about replacing modern food. It's about remembering capability. You don't need to eat wild plants every day, but knowing that you could safely does something profound. It tells your brain, I am not helpless. And that message carries weight, because modern stress isn't just about speed or pressure. It's about disconnection from outcomes. Foraging reconnects effort and reward. You observe, you choose, you eat. No abstraction. And when you finally sit down, choose something you recognize, identified, and selected yourself, there's a subtle feeling that shows up, not pride, competence. That feeling doesn't stay in the forest. It follows you back, into decision-making, into patience, into trust. Primitive skills aren't hobbies. They're anchors. They don't reject modern life. They stabilize it. So learning how to find edible plants in the wild isn't about going backward. It's about reclaiming a language your brain never forgot. Nature isn't chaos. It's structured, readable, honest. And when you start understanding it, you don't just find food, you find grounding. You find confidence. You find a quieter mind in a world that constantly feeds you without asking you to participate. That kind of knowledge is powerful.